Welcome back to Your Best Year 2026, an online retreat delivered by Coaching Minds. Now, if you were in our last session, let us know what you took away from that. What intentions have you set? What did you reflect upon in terms of your definition of success for the next 365 days? I'd also love to know if you've got a list of whys, the why nots, why not you, and why not now? Drop them in the comments box as I introduce you to our first coach for our live coaching sessions, a mindset coach and author, an absolutely wonderful person, Jane Njogu. Jane, welcome today to our Your Best Year 2026. I'm looking forward to this session. Thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
Sorry, Jamie, you froze a second there. Technology is not on our favor today. It's not on our side delivering these sessions, but we've lost you a little bit. Hello, Jane? So if you're tuned in, say hi. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I need to work out if my internet or Jane's internet so I can jump in support. But it looks like Jane, I'm not getting any notifications here. So Donna's saying hi, Paul and Jane.
Okay, can you hear me all right, Paul?
We've just got you back now. Yep, we've got you back. Fantastic. We've Cindy tuned in saying good morning as well. So we didn't catch anything. If you just shared, we've not caught anything there. So I don't know. I've just introduced you, asked some questions to the audience. So if you just give a little bit of an overview of you. I said you're a mindset coach and you're an established author. So just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into today's session. We're looking forward to it. She always does that, and it's like cliffhangers. It's like one of those series where you're waiting for the moment I ask her a question and she freezes. No, technology today. So I'm just going to bring in some comments. So Cindy saying, hello, Paul, hearing you fine. Jane froze. Yep, I thought it was Jane's, and I just want to double check. Today is testing me, which is good. It's good to grow. We're here to make 2026 your best year, and we are going to get hit with obstacles. Things are going to be in our way. We're going to have challenges. Everything doesn't run smoothly. It's how we adapt. It's how we pivot that is going to help us make 2026 the best year. So I might have to step forward and attempt to deliver. So she's gone. So we've lost her. So I will move on and I will attempt to deliver Jane's presentation. So bear with me. I've seen the slides. This is not my niche area or expertise area, but I do know a little bit about mindset. And I do have the exercise that Jane wanted to walk you through today. So not all is lost apart from Jane, but Jane will be missed if she doesn't join. And what we will do is we'll do a recording afterwards. So I can see a lot of stuff coming in here that you can hear me. Love the panel. For me, for me, success is about progress, and that's what we got to. That was a conclusion from the wonderful talk that we had with Donna, Patricia, and a little bit from Adele at the beginning. Was that we got to the conclusion that success is about process, and it's about growing, it's about learning, and it's about bringing our values in. And I'm looking forward to the session we've got after this, our final session of today, where we are looking at values. And it's going to be Ed Stanley that's going to do that. And I can see a couple of people here are saying they're happy to jump in and support. That's really great. Ed saying, looking forward to this. Happy to jump in if you want to switch around. So I'm not too sure, Ed, if that will work for Jane later on. So what I'll do is I'm going to go with it, okay? I'm going to use the wisdom from the room. And for the replay, we'll do a recording with Jane so she get to deliver this for everybody. Oops, she's back. We've got her back. Let's see. Let's see how this goes. Jane, we've got you back. We've got you back. I was ready to go without you. It's okay. No, but it's good to have you here.
Ready to humble me today.
No, it's testing us all. It's testing us all. So please do not worry. Take a moment. There's a few more good stuff coming. Lots of people jumping in, ready to help you. But I am going to go back to you while we got you to see what we can get from your connection today. But yeah, I just mentioned you're a mindset author and a mindset coach and an author as well. So I don't know, do you want to pick it up from here? And I'm here to support as we go along.
Yeah, I think we should just start before they decide to kick me out again.
Yeah. Let's go.
Right. So welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for bearing with the tech issues I'm having today. We are here because we want to make the most out of 2026. Despite being a new year, you and I, we hold the power to decide whether it will be a new chapter or just a new calendar with the old stories we've been telling ourselves. Whatever was happening in 2025, we just bring it forward and the pattern continues. And that is the first question I have for you today. Did you just celebrate New Year, New Me without revisiting the stories that you're bringing forward? And throughout this session, you will pick what I mean by stories or scripts that we keep telling ourselves. My desire is that by the end of this session, you will be empowered to pause. Most of the time, you're on a marathon, you want to run and run and run. And I love the discussion that we had about success earlier. So I hope that by the end of this session, you'll have that. Give yourself that permission to pause and look at the software. And I'm going to use software a lot today, despite technology humbling me. And the software, I'm meaning your mindset you want to use in 2026 before you start the race on the track, let's say even today or tomorrow. So today we are authoring your 2026 operating system. Paul has introduced me. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm here to help you take the pen. If you don't have a pen and paper, I highly encourage you to get one because today I'm not here to present. If you've attended before, I'm always presenting and telling you what to do. So today it's more of me helping you start moving that pen in your book. Now, Paul, we can move on. Thank you. Right. In tech world, those who are in the IT department, we always have a tech guy. When your computer runs slow, there's someone you call. Right now, I had to call someone because of the Wi-Fi issues that I'm having. So there's always someone that we are calling. So in tech world, when that computer slows down, we check the operating system. You call your IT guy, right? Science shows that our mindset is our brain's operating system. And there's a lot of data to back me up here. It's not just me because I did molecular and cellular biology saying, yeah, I know everything. No, it's according to science. And that brings me to the question for you today. Who is the IT guy for your mindset? And maybe, Paul, you can tell us, do you have an IT guy we can borrow for your mindset?
I would love to have one. I could do with a little bit of work on my internal systems, but yeah, you know. But sometimes I think if it's not ourselves, I think a coach. I think a coach could help with that. So, but again, they're not your IT guy. No, I don't think we actually have one.
Thank you for that. So, who is the IT guy for your mindset? Who do you call when you feel like you're stuck? And Paul has shared his thoughts. You can drop yours in the chat section. Maybe your IT guy can be someone that somebody else can borrow that person. Now, you see, you can either have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And I know all of us, this is not new knowledge to you. This is something that everywhere you go, but when you just put on Google mindset, fixed versus growth, this is what we see all the time. When you have a fixed operating system, aka your fixed mindset, you start seeing failure as a limit. And earlier on, Donna said she doesn't like using the word failure. And I second her. I don't like using the word failure. You see that word that you're not going to mention now as something that limits you. But when you have a growth operating system, what we call a growth mindset, you see failure as data. Many of us have started 2026 on a fixed operating system that is telling them that they are limited by their history, they are limited by the results they got in 2025, they are limited by the number of no's they got. And if you're a coach, you can agree with me that the number of no's we get from those discovery calls we do, they're not small. There are a lot, and they can decide your worth. They can start telling you, see, 50 people said no to you, so you're not cut off for this work. So many of us have moved into 2026 with that mindset, the fixed mindset. So they're approaching that 2026 with that story that keeps going. You're a failure. You have to change your line of work. Nobody wants to work with you. But when you look at a growth mindset or the growth operating system, this is where your growth mindset lives. It's the core command, and it's very simple. My invitations expand me. And now we move to the next slide. This is where now you start telling yourself, invitations expand me. And in my book, Invite Only, I touch on the idea that Our brain search is a search engine. Only finds what we tell it to look for. If right now I tell you, look around you, how many things do you have that are in red color? You'll start looking for red. You've programmed your mind. I want red. I want red. I want red. If you go outside and you start looking at cars passing, today I feel like seeing Range Rovers. You will see those Range Rovers that you never notice when you're passing along the road. So what I'm saying is your mind is the search engine. And if you run a glitchy story, you only find the evidence that things are not working out for you. If you run the data that you run is how things did not work out for you in 2025, it's the same thing that will happen. I went for interviews and you feel like I was just being rejected or ghosted. So that's the story you're bringing forward. But if you take a step back and ask yourself, well, let me apply my growth mindset. What is this telling me? So you get that data and see how you can approach 2026. Earlier today, I was having a conversation with my husband, and I was telling him that, for my business to grow, I cannot keep applying um, the same techniques I was using in 2025. I have to go back and check how can I learn from what I did in 2025 and how can I improve from that. And it's the same thing I will ask you here. Are you using the same techniques from 2025? It could be in your 9 to 5, it could be in your business, it could be in your relationships. And I love again the earlier discussion you're talking about looking at life from different areas, not just your career and financial gain. Are you looking at those areas using the same techniques that you used from 2025, or you had a minute with yourself and decided that, you know what, I'm going to upgrade a second up or a step up? So today I invite you to perform that overwrite and update your systems. Moving forward, I am curious, what do you believe is the most powerful search engine on the planet? I would love to hear from you. And maybe I'll start with you, Paul. What do you think is the most powerful search engine on the planet?
So you want me to say Google, so I'm not going to spoil the surprise, or ChatGPT. I think that's what you want me to say, but I think I know the right answer. So I'm going to leave it to see if anybody in the audience can state that. It was a little bit of a insight there. But I just while we're waiting for
Okay.
that as well, there's some great comments coming in here, Jane. If you don't mind me bringing them up
Okay.
just right
Yeah,
now.
go ahead.
So yeah, I really love what Cindy put here. I just want to bring this in for now while we're talking about software and IT. IT guys always tell you to reboot the system, and that usually works. Same for the mind and the body. Yeah, like that. There's lots of other things coming in. Huge believer that self-coaching is empowering. It gives you permission to have a helicopter view of what is going on and where to focus. Thank you for sharing that, Donna. Really great stuff.
Okay. Do you have anyone who knows the answer to our engine? Thank you for the comments.
We don't have yet. Nobody's come in through the internal here. So Cindy might have it here. Internal search engine.
Thank you, Cindy. Anybody else would like? There's no right or wrong answer. In 2026, in the last session, I said that instead of success, I'm going to use abundance, even abundance in thoughts. Whatever you put out there, you should not limit yourself. Is it right or wrong? It is an abundant thought. So whatever answer you have, that's the right answer for you. So moving on, so I believe that the most powerful search engine is your brain. Your brain is obedient to you. It doesn't find the truth. It finds the targets that you set for it. If you search a query like, why am I not enough? Your brain will give you all the answers. It will give you the evidence from last year, from 10 years ago. So your brain is that powerful search engine. If you ask your brain, why do I deserve this opportunity? It will give you those data that you've put at the back of the list because you're focused on the negative bits. Your brain will return with 1 million results. And I'm just giving a hypothetical number. So today we are changing the story query, the search query. And before we move forward, I want to invite you into a visualization session. I'm going to read a short extract from my book. If you have a copy, I'm going to read something small from this book. And I want you, if you're comfortable, please close your eyes. If you're a visual processor, I want you to take your pen and paper. I'm going to read just one sentence, and I want you to simply form this imagery in your head or on your paper. Capture it. Please note there's no right or wrong answer. You can become as creative as you want. Bring your inner imagination as we go. All right. Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, let's go. I present to you this painting. On the edges, you will notice the life cycle of a butterfly. And in the middle, it is blank. I'm going to read again. I present to you this painting. On the edges, you will notice the life cycle of a butterfly. And in the middle, it is blank. Okay, so keep that in mind and now come back to me. I know we are all creative, we have the visual or we've drawn it down. And I'm going to read the other part from my book to showcase the relevance of that painting that you've drawn or you have in your mind. I specifically asked for this painting as a design. I want you to remember that each day represents a blank space in your book. And only you have the power to write your story. Furthermore, the butterfly's life cycle is a reminder of the seasons. Whenever you face darker days, that should give you hope that brighter days are coming. So we've drawn the image there, and this is something that I wrote in my book. And why I found it to be relevant today is because we are joining 2026. Each year we start a new chapter, but most of us are still writing old chapters from old seasons. But the moment we realize that we have that capacity to rewrite our stories, we have that blank page, it shifts our mindset from that fixed operating system that we have to a growth operating system. So, in short, what you're saying is that if you're going through a rough time, you know the life cycle of a butterfly, egg, larva, pupa, adult. There's the cocoon season where the butterfly is trying to break out. The butterfly is trying to become a, and it's painful. As per the stories I've read, it's a painful season. So maybe you're in the cocoon season, but is it a death sentence for you? Is it the end of the world? What is that cocoon season teaching you? And if their moms tuned in and maybe dads, they will tell you that, especially if you're a new mom, like myself, the cocoon season is that time you're trying to learn how to raise a baby. It is a season where you're stressed in ways that you can't even imagine that you're going to have another child because you feel like, but you see, how you look at that season, it's going to dictate your next steps. You learn from that cocoon season. And the middle is blank because since your mind is the most powerful engine, remember what you said about your mind? You are in charge and hold the pen of the instructions that you command. The butterfly is here to remind us that brighter days are a biological certainty. Paul, in the next slide. I have my own slides. That's why I'm ahead of you. Okay. I think we're in the next one as well. So the butterfly reminds you that brighter days are coming. And now, before we move to the next part of this section and open our workbooks, Paul, I'll hand it over to you to tell me if you have any comments from that part, and then we can move on to the workbook.
Yep, now let's see if we've got anybody coming in. So people just answering your question, going back to what is the biggest search engine on the planet. So Sabina has said mind. Cindy said she was ready for your exercise, and also abundance. Yes. So if you do have any comments or questions, please feel free to share them into the comments box. I think it's a good time. I'm just going to put the workbook out there as well.
Okay.
Adele. So just put the link. So sorry, Jane. So I'm just putting the link to the workbook out there now. So this is going to be for a little bit later on. And you will need to download it to make it editable, but you can just use your pen and paper, as Jane mentioned, to go through the questions. But Jane, I really love what you were sharing there. That the cocoon season. It's a painful season, I think, for many. So I really love how we can set our mind to really break out of that cocoon. The kind of no pain, no gain.
Mm-hmm. Thank
And
you,
Cindy is
Paul.
saying cocoon is when you're brewing and reforming yourself.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And we all have different cocoons in our life. When you look at the wheel of life, it's not just your career or your social life, it goes back to even spirituality, the different areas. So when you think about, you might be thriving in your career, but you're in a cocoon season in a different area of your life. So it's up to you to remind yourself that it's just a season I'm going through. And when you think about ecology check, you don't let that season in one area affect the different areas of your life. And that's why having a growth operating system or a growth mindset really helps you to be present. It really helps you with the self-awareness bit. Thank you for that comment. Right. Are we ready with our workbooks? Okay. So, before we begin, I would like to share an observation that became the foundation of my book, Invite Only. By default, most people go through life as a character in someone else's story. Most of us, we want to live the life that our parents have told us, the life that our teachers thought would be best for us, the life that our spouses think that suits us. So we move in as a character. We are just flowing with the seasons. When they say go right, you're there, left, you're there, north, south, you're all over the place. But in the next 30 minutes, I invite you to give yourself the permission to be the author of your story. If we have authors in the house, they will tell you there's that feeling when you know that the words in the book they came from, there's just that feeling. And I'll throw it to you, Paul, before we invite everybody else. How do you feel as an author? Is it something that you just sit down and say, wherever, man? Or it's something that you wake up and you clap for yourself?
Yeah, so no, wake up and clap for yourself. I think it's a big achievement, and I think it's said that only 10%, it might be a little bit smaller, of people who actually think about writing a book actually go through with writing a book. And you know, there's a big relief, no, big feeling of excitement when something that you've had in your mind for so long, you've put it onto paper or onto Word, and it's just, you know, something digital. But then when it actually comes as a physical copy, it's something that, you know, it's the time and effort that it takes to get there. It's definitely worth rewarding and clapping yourself each day.
Amazing. I hear you and I resonate with you. I told someone who is published a book the other day that I published my book 2 years ago, but still I feel like it was yesterday. There's that feeling. It still comes along. So I was buying time for us to open our workbooks. I'm sure you have opened your workbook now. We'll move on to the next slide, Paul. Your workbook is divided into 3 sections designed to take you from awareness to action. In section 1, we will identify the glitch in your current operating system, aka your mindset, and even calculate the real costs of staying in that space. In section 2, we will strip the power from the old story. We will cross examine your limiting beliefs to see if they're your own or just inherited ones. And then in section 3, we will finally re-author that old story to a new story that is going to drive you through 2026. I believe we all have the workbook now open. I now invite you to reflect back to the last 12 months. And in this case, you're looking at 2025. If your last 12 months were a book title, we are just talking about books, what will it be? Is it the art of hesitation or waiting for permission? So I'm going to give you time to write that down. There's no right or wrong answer. You are in charge. You are the author. Jane is not in charge. Paul is not in charge. You who is listening to me right now, you are in charge. So what will be the book title?
I love that question, Jane. I'm thinking for myself as well. What's my book title from 2025? uh,
Okay, I believe we have written it down. I will use Paul as a gauge for me to know that we have written it down. Okay, if you're comfortable, feel free to drop the in the chat section. If you're not, just write in your book, in your workbook. By the end of this summit, I believe you'll have something to go back and review and feel like now 2026, I am ready for you. Remember that we cannot rewrite a story from if we refuse to read that story. If you don't do the reflection, then which data are you using to move forward? Now that you've written the book title, look at the different areas of your life. We've mentioned this earlier. Look at the different areas of your life. I want you to move beyond just your career and look holistically at your wheel of life, your health, your relationships, your spiritual life, your personal growth. We all know the wheel of life. In which of these areas did you hesitate to take a bold leap? I want you to write that down. Looking at the different areas of your life, in which of these areas did you hesitate to take a bold leap? Maybe your career was thriving, but in your relationships, there's something that happened. I want you to write it down. As the author, this is your chance.
And another good question, Jen. You got me thinking. Where did I not take a leap last year? Got some good book titles coming in as well. Don't know if you want me to share them. Just
Please share them with us. So, when you're thinking about the area that you hesitated, what is the one recurring thought, the specific line of code that stopped you from taking that leap? Was it asking someone for a date? We think about our careers all the time. And I love the previous conversation where we mentioned that we need to make life more fun. So, when you're asked this question, just think, in my career, I didn't approach this person. Maybe it was asking someone for a date, and that one has taken a toll on you. So, what is that one recurring thought, that specific line code that stopped you from taking the leap? I want you to write that down.
another great question.
Okay. Now we move on to the next question. And if I'm going too fast, please let us know in the chat section, but I'm also mindful of time. Now, look at that thought that you just wrote down. What has this thought or story cost you financially over the last year? Think about it. If it's zero, just write zero. Be honest with yourself. If it's a certain amount of money, you write that down. Be honest with yourself. But I want you to write a number. Because again, in my line of work, I've realized that most of the time we don't put a number in how the stories that we tell ourselves are costing us. So we don't see the impact it has. Maybe you are not able to pay your mortgage because you didn't look at how this story, this belief that you have, has costed you. So look at your thought, the one that you just wrote down. What has it cost you financially over the last year?
And it's a really interesting question, Jen. I'm thinking how do you quantify, for example, if you've been so focused on career and it's the relationships that maybe you've been neglecting and not taking a leap, or the family and things, how do you quantify that into a financial? Yeah, really interesting question to get me thinking and reflecting.
And that's a space that we never look at it. We think that our relationships are just relationships. But if you really think about it, what is it costing you? Now, looking at those, and maybe more importantly, before I forget the peace of mind, what does it cost you in terms of your peace of mind? And now this is where your question comes in, Paul. So you focused on your career, but your relationship is somewhere. There's a thought you have about it. What does this cost your peace of mind? And this will take you back to the financial aspect, because if your peace of mind is not in a sober space, are you really productive in your career? So, what has it cost you in terms of peace of mind? How much mental energy has been burnt during this old story that you hold? Let's write that down. Be honest with yourself. Some of these things you don't need to tell anyone. It's just for you to reflect, for you to be honest with yourself and start 2026 in an honest space. Sometimes we start the year lying to ourselves with the achievements we have, but we forget about the underlying stories that we are holding. Okay. Paul, are you back with me?
Yeah, I'm
You
still here. Don't worry. I haven't left you, don't worry.
Right. Now, looking at those same 12 months, did you experience a dark season? And with dark season, I'm looking at the cocoon season that we talked about earlier. What was the hardest moment? I want you to write that down. Think about the 12 months that we had in 2025. What was that dark season? The cocoon, let's call it the cocoon season. I should have edited the workbook and written the cocoon season for us to know that we are evolving, we have the abundance in our life. What was the hardest moment? I want you to write that down.
While they're reflecting, Jen, do you want me to bring any of the comments into the space? Just tell me
Yes,
when's a
please.
good point to do that. Yeah. So Donna's got a title for her life. She this made me laugh. Shit happens. Is a title
Absolutely.
for her 2025. You've got Cindy that's saying moving forward with confidence. Nice title. Switching careers. Sabina has mentioned. And Cindy's sharing here that she pulled in too many directions. Peace of mind gets fractured. And then Donna saying I also took many leaps and realized I need to step back and enjoy the moment.
I love that. Thank you so much, Cindy and Donna. And I love the input that you're bringing in. And sometimes going back to what Donna has said, we realize that we're taking a lot on our plates without knowing the percussion of it. So you keep being the yes, yes person. Earlier in the panel discussion, you were talking about saying yes, yes, without realizing your values are being compromised in the process. Maybe one of your values is spending time with your family, but when you keep saying yes to everything out here, your career is thriving, but how is your family getting affected? So it goes back to the operating system that we have. Are you on the fixed mindset that if I do this, I'm losing out, or the growth mindset where you remind yourself that opportunities will present themselves and they will align with you. So you don't feel guilty by saying no to everything. So thank you for the comments. Going back to our dark season, going back to our dark, the cocoon season that we had. I hope you've written down the hardest moment. Earlier, we
We've got a
looked
good
at the
question.
painting. Remember the painting you have in your mind? Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
Jen, I was just going to say we have a good question from Rizan, just on the dark seasons. I just think it's a good point to answer that for anybody who might be thinking the same. Is
Go
Rizan is
ahead.
asking, what if I have several dark seasons? How can she know which one to put the focus on? I'm guessing there. Just before we move on from the dark seasons.
If, okay. So if you have several seasons, like in your life, can you ask the question again? Sorry,
Yeah, so she's asking,
my
you asked
network is
about
glitching.
to look at a dark season that we had in 2025, and she's asking if she had several dark seasons in 2025, how does she know which one that she can focus on? Which one are we looking to focus on or to capture?
It entirely depends on her, going back to the story that she wrote earlier on in the area of her life. So it could be in her career, she had a story that was blocking her from moving forward. So if there is that season or the cocoon season in your career, write that down. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. You can write as many stories that you have. You can write anything that comes in your mind. You're the author. If you want your book to be 1,000 pages, it's entirely up to you. If you want your book to be one page, it's entirely up to you. That's a good question, Razan. So it's up to you to be creative and see what do I want to write down. You hold the power. Your search engine is thinking right now. It's telling you, Razan, this need to be written down. Write them down.
I
Thank
love
you for
that,
that.
Jane. Thank you. No, and thank you, Jane, for clarifying that. I think, yeah, it goes back to that title now, because when I was thinking as well, it was, I've maybe had a cocoon in my personal life, but my professional life, I'm maybe floating like a butterfly a little bit. So it's kind of which one do I want to choose that's linked with the story. So thank you, Jane, for clarifying that.
You're welcome. Any other question before we move on?
I know there's just comments coming through with his questions. It was just, I thought it was a good point, just to, whilst it was on the dark seasons, just to assist anybody that was thinking like that. Yeah.
Thank you. And it goes back to what we do in coaching. As a client, Razan, if you're a client, I will not limit you to any space. I will want you to list down everything that comes in your mind because you hold the power, you hold the answers. And as you write them down, something will start popping in your mind. Something will just start becoming clear, or you'll see a pattern in what you're listing or in what you're saying. Excellent. So earlier we looked at the painting. We all have drawn the painting, or it's somewhere beautiful in our minds. We have the butterfly's life cycle with the blank space in the middle. We discussed how the cocoon is a necessary season of deconstruction, of growth, and it is a short lived season. You can't say that you're going to have that season forever and ever in your life if you don't sit down and ask yourself what you're learning from it. Look at what you wrote as your hardest moment or moments. Let me use the moment. With the perspective you have today about fixed and growth mindset, the operating system that you're holding, the story that you're carrying in 2026, what is that season, the complete season, actually preparing you for? what version of you was built in that season? So if it's one season that you wrote down, what was it actually preparing you? I want you to just take some deep breaths and just be honest with yourself and think, what was it preparing me for? The answer lies within. Okay. So before we move to the next section, I'm going to give an example there. For myself, one of the cocoon seasons I went through in 2025 was motherhood. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a new mom, motherhood and my career. And there are days where I felt like, man, this is tough. But reflecting and me answering this question, I realized that that season was teaching me the art of balancing, the art of being present for my child, the art of being present for my business, and also the art of saying no. Because now opportunities will come, and I believe this is in my year of abundance, but I have the chance to ask myself, does it align with my values? We talked about values earlier. So that season was preparing me for 2026, where when the opportunities come, I know how to handle them. So what was it actually preparing me for?
And it's just come from a different angle, Jane, as well, because I'm thinking there's certain areas in my life where I'm in the caterpillar season, which means I'm floating around like a caterpillar and I'm avoiding that cocoon. There's something that I'm avoiding. So, how do I need to get to that level of preparation to step into that cocoon? Whether it's to have that difficult conversation, whether it's to take that opportunity that's going to put me in a difficult position for that state of growth. So, for anybody that is in the caterpillar stage as well, it's how do we face and get ourselves ready for that cocoon. I'm just answering your questions you're asking. I'm doing the exercise in my head to get the assistance. So just use me as your guinea pig. Yeah, anything you want me to come out with, let me know.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point, and I would love to hear what your answer was when you came up with that question.
Yeah, so it was my area. There's just certain things I need to do in my life. There's certain things I've been avoiding, certain cocoons that I need to, whether, like I said, there's a couple of different conversations I have to have, some changes that I need to make in my life. That it's going to be difficult. It's going to put me into a phase of growth personally. Um, so I'm thinking about that stage and the steps I need to take going forward.
And there you have your answer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, brilliant.
So I don't know if there are any comments or questions that have come through before we move to the next section.
So there's an interesting question. I think we can come back to this at the end. I just don't want Ashish to think that we're ignoring this question because it's quite a broad question and there's not one answer to this. But he's asking, how can I manage all at once family, career, growth, and freedom from responsibilities? Only keeping positive mindset is not helping, though I give my best.
Okay. I agree with you. That's a complex question, and let's put a pin on it, finish the workbook, and then now we can interrogate
Come
it
back to
more.
that, yeah.
Yeah?
I think that
Yes.
moves into a lot of the other stuff we're doing as part of the summit. It's not just focused on mindset. So
Yes.
mindset, and I think just to sum up, mindset's the start. It's not the answer. It's not going to solve all the problems. Mindset is the start of the change.
Absolutely. It all starts within. And when you say within, there's someone who told me, so it starts with my heart. And I find that to be funny, but then I had to clarify and tell them when I say it starts within, I'm talking about mind and body, it has to start with your mind. So sometimes again, it goes back to the communication bit of it. We have to be clear with what we're saying. Okay, now we move to section 2. We have identified the script or the story from the last 12 months. We have seen the cocoon seasons that we are in. Now we are going to put it on trial. I know we have lawyers tuned in. Hi, Paul. And I'm
Look
joking.
at me. I'm looking. I'm thinking there's another cool point. That was a bit of a.
I got you off guard. Anyway, I know we have lawyers tuned in, or you're married to a lawyer, or you have a lawyer friend, or you've worked with a lawyer. So we are going to bring in the lawyer's shoes with us in this part. I want you to look at the limiting belief you wrote in part 1. And I want you to step into the role of the fancy lawyer that cross examining these thoughts. I want you to be, I don't know if you've watched Lincoln Lawyer or it's just a lawyer that comes in your mind that has, when they do their job, you're like, oh my God. So I want you to look at that thought that you wrote down. What evidence do you have that this thought is 100% false? Think about the thought that you wrote earlier on, that limiting belief, I am not good enough, I am not ready. What evidence do you have that it is 100% false?
I love that, Jane. And you come from the Lincoln lawyer angle, but I'm going to come from the suits angle. What would Harvey say? What evidence would Harvey Specter or Mike Ross, for the suits fans in here, dispute your limiting belief as being incorrect? I really love that angle. That's really good perspective, Jane.
Thank you. So, what evidence do you have that this is 100% false? Most of the time, we look at the evidence that it is true. Let's flip that coin and ask ourselves, where is the evidence that is 100% false? You said you're not good enough. What is the evidence that it is not 100% false? Okay. Now, listen to the tone of that voice. You're in this courtroom, huh? Mike Ross, let's use Mike Ross. You're in the courtroom. Is it actually your voice or it's an inherited script? Does it sound like a critical parent? When you're growing up, our parents are our role models. This is how they want us to turn out. So does it sound like your parent? Does it sound like your past boss, teacher? Those maybe someone who didn't see your value? Does it sound like societal expectation? And this is a heavy weight that most of us carry, of who you're supposed to be. As a woman, you should. As a man, you should. Or is it your voice? Name whose voice it is. Paul, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to add to that list as well. It could be an ex-partner or a sibling that have that influence and have imprinted those words on us.
It could be a social media influencer who
Yeah,
dictates what you're supposed to be.
yeah.
So whose voice is that? Okay. I know that's an easy one. All of us who have, because we love blaming, so we always have that answer ready. It's so and so's fault.
Yeah.
Now, this is the part where you start shaming the mind tenants such as fear, self-doubt, validation, and any other thing that comes in your mind, these limiting beliefs or negative thought patterns. How does staying stuck in that story actually serve you? Does it keep you safe from the fear of success? Does it give you an excuse not to try? What does it do for you? How does it help you? Does it give you an year where in December 2026 you're looking for 2027 motivation because it was the same year, different calendar, but same things happening? Let's shame them. Let's do that. We have the power. We are the authors. What are they going to do?
I love that. And you've just sparked another great book title. I just have to bring this in because it's quite funny as well, from Cindy. Stop shoulding on yourself.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Well, what will they do? Write it down. Shame it. If you don't shame it, you'll never live your life. Okay, I believe that's the best part because we love pointing fingers, so it's very easy to shame something. Think about that bad breakup you had. You had a lot of things to say. Break up with these thoughts. Break up with self doubt. Break up with fear. Break up with self judgment. Break up with them. It's okay. Life moves on. It's fine. Now, looking back at the center of that painting that we discussed, that's a blank space. If today were page one, chapter one of your book, that title that you wrote, and you had zero story, no baggage, no shoes attached to your name, what will be the very first sentence of your new story? In my book, the very first sentence of my story is, it was the talk of the town. That is how I felt like opening that. So, what do you want to write in your story?
I like that.
Do
It was
you
the
want people
talk
to?
of the.
Yeah. Write that down. What do you want to write in page one, chapter one, first sentence? Where your mom's voice is not here, your partner's voice is not here, the society is not, it's not screaming at you. It's just you as an individual. Paul, what would you write? I'm curious.
I'm trying to get past once upon a time. It's my logical mindset going. No, it's a deep question, and I want to encourage anybody. We're going through this sort of pace within an hour. Please do go back to the replay with the workbook and take time to pause and reflect on these questions, because they're really deep and powerful when we spend a moment thinking about this. And I'm going to do that, Jim, as well. I need to go back and think, what would the opening to my 2026 be? Something that I haven't given thought to, or the new story.
It's quite powerful because we've set the goals for 2026, yet we've not sat down and decided what do we want to read throughout 2026. Okay, we move on. I'm sure we have written down the page one, chapter one. So we have audited the past and we have interrogated the scripts. I hope you are still having that space. Now we look at the year ahead. What is the new title of a new book? You have the title from 2025. So what is the new title of the new book? Is it the year of abundance? Is it the year where it's the author's debut? Is it the year where you're coming out, you're blossoming as a butterfly? I want you to write it in bold. Make it yours. Don't just write as a way of writing. Make it bold. Own it. What is the new title for 2026? Not what someone told you. What you think should be there. Is it your year of learning? Is it your year of boundaries? Some of us, we struggled with boundaries in 2025. I want you to write that down. And if you're inspired, just drop it in the chat section. Let's see your new title for 2026.
So we've got one coming through with Dennis saying, "Smelling the roses."
Oh, that's wonderful.
Nice one. Comes out nicely now. I like the connection from her 2025 book, If She Happens, to 2026, "Smelling the Roses." Interesting. Yeah.
Excellent. I hope we have a. Go ahead.
I think about a title for my 2026. I haven't got the opening, but I think change starts with me. I think that's an important point for me to recognize and note this year.
Change starts with you. I love that.
And Sabina's put living to the fullest. Kashfin saying mine is breaking forth. So lots of people are sharing their 2026 books. Fantastic.
I love that. I love that. I don't know if I should start challenging people to actually write the book. Don't just write the topic. I want you to write the chapters.
Yeah.
Okay, move on. Now let's perform a cognitive override and take that old story, the one that said I'm not enough or it's too late, or any other story that you have from the first part, and I want you to turn into an invitation. Instead of I'm not ready, I want you to start shifting the words that you use. Instead of I'm not ready, how about you say my unique path is the invitation for others to find theirs. And in the previous session, Patricia said that this year she's looking at training more people, the leaders of tomorrow. And that is a growth mindset at play. So I want you to look at the stories that you've written down. I want you to start re-authoring them into a new story. I am not qualified enough. According to who? Shift that into something that empowers you. Okay. So the next question we have there is a story only changes when the character does something unexpected. Think about your favorite show. I want you to commit to a plot twist to action to your story today. This is one specific thing you will do this coming Monday. Today is Saturday. Let's assume tomorrow we are resting and reflecting from the summit. Uh, Something that the old version of you, the one under the weight of shoes, what my mother said, what my spouse said, will never do. What is that one bold move that you want to take? That is the plot twist. Everybody expects you to dress in a certain way to the office. Maybe your plot twist is to wear a bright yellow sunny dress during winter. So, what is the plot twist? in your story? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because we make our life story so sad that it's not fun. So plot twist makes the story interesting. It makes it fun. And that's why you find yourself binge watching a series for 10 hours because there's always something coming up. Oh my God, did that just happen? So create the plot twist in your story. I want you to write down one action, but you can become as creative as you want and write as many as you can.
And if you're struggling to think of a series, Game of Thrones is one that's full of
Oh,
plot twists. I'm sure many people have watched Game of Thrones. Every episode, the story's changed. No? Just make sure you write a better ending
absolutely.
than Game of Thrones. That's one thing I would say.
Okay. So I'm sure we are creative, we are brilliant human beings, we hold the power, we hold the answers, and I'm sure you have something you've been thinking about doing, but you've been like, oh, what will people think? So what if they think? What do you think as a person? Is it something you validate? Because everything we do, as long as I validate it, I don't care if Paul validates it or not, as long as it starts with me. But most of the time, we start with what will people think? And then that's the end of the story. So, what is the plot twist in your story? And now, finally, we need a firewall to protect this new story of yours. Write a sentence that represents your new operating system for 2026. This is going to be your daily mantra where the old shoulds try to reinstall themselves. This is the code you run to. What is your mantra for 2026? Is it the year where you remind yourself you're worthy and deserving? Is it the year where you remind yourself, I am capable of saying no's if you're someone struggling with no's? Is it the year where you remind yourself that I I deserve love. So whoever comes my way, it has to align with what I deserve. So what is that mantra that you're going to hold in 2026? Okay. Any thoughts, Paul, before we close?
Um, I'm just trying to think of my mantra. You've got some deep questions here that do need thought, and I'm a person that needs a little bit of time to reflect on these questions. But it's really good, really great coaching questions that have been brought forth here to help us change perspective. And I love how you've built that to help us rewire and charge us with energy of those positive rewiring. It's really, really great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have
So
your own mantra for this year?
my mantra for 2026 is the year where I check, or how can I put it? It's quite a long one, but to summarize it, is the year of Jane deserving opportunities, happiness, and love. Because in 2025 is the year where I love was somehow not there, not in my relationship, but in other areas of my life. So it's the year where I'm opening up myself to this growth, to these values.
Beautiful. No, thank you for sharing that, Jim.
Okay, I see you're running out of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of us who are tuned in or watching the replay, after that exercise, I want you to look at what you've written as the author of your life. Clap for yourself. If you have any confetti, Paul, just drop it. Clap for
Thank
yourself.
you.
Clap for yourself. Because, yes, you are the author.
I,
You've
found,
just.
I think we even got claps somewhere. Let's see. I'm just getting
um,
used to this. Oh, you can even do that. Look at that. How brilliant AI is. No?
I love that. So, you are the author. You've just started writing your book. And maybe you can let us know in the chat section, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you're in charge now? Is there some sense of lightness now that you've realized that you have the power to make 2026 count as the author? Are you ready for 2026? So let me know in the chat section. And I believe that once we start reauthoring those stories that we have, then 2026 is going to make a difference. It's going to be the best year yet. We're not saying that it's going to be the best year forever and ever. It's going to be maybe a starting point for most of us. So go write a story worth reading, a story that will make sense to you as the author before you share to the world. And remember, a plot twist on Monday is great, but staying as the author of your story for the next 365 days, it requires a set of new tools. And that leads me to the next slide, Paul. The next one. Yeah, what is your new story? We've covered that. I'm sorry, I have my slides here. Yeah, we can go to. Mhm.
This one.
Yeah, we can go there because of time. So I wanted to say that apart from writing your story for the next 365 days, you desire or you deserve to have a set of tools. It requires consistent practice of auditing those invisible scripts that take hold of you. And as much as we have the tools, we still need to hold ourselves. So if you want to go deeper into reauthoring your story, auditing the story that you hold and writing nuance, I'm inviting you to grab a copy of my book. The QR code is on the chat, is on the screen there. I know most of us we have it, but if you have not yet grabbed it, this is an invitation. As the book says, invite only. I'm inviting you. You're special. So I'm inviting you to grab a copy of my book. While the book is a manual for this work, reauthoring, your life isn't something that happens in a vacuum. You need a community. You need to surround yourself with people who see life as growth, who see life as something that you learn as you go. So I'm going to drop again another QR code for my LinkedIn page. You can follow and connect with me there. If you have any questions that are more private, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to hold your hand, or just follow me and we can support each other in this journey of reauthoring our stories. So Paul, as I end this, as we open up for Q&A, I will leave everyone with a quote that says, "You are the CEO and director of your life. Take charge and make the best decision for yourself today." So today I have empowered you by, I don't know how they say it in court, but I've empowered you to take the pen and start writing your story. Invite yourself to have that moment and start authoring any limiting story that has been holding you back. So, Paul, I'll hand it over to you to lead us to the next section.
No, thank you, Jane. Thank you for such a beautiful and deep session. I really love that, and I vouch and recommend the book. I've got a copy of Jane's book. I wish I had. I should have been ready to have it to show here, Jane. But it's up there on the bookshelf, and I'm not going to go scrambling for it right now. But I highly recommend it. It's really beautifully written, and I love the way, Jane, how you, and I say this a lot whenever we talk about your book, how you blend the wisdom and the storytelling into an actual story, and you've created a character in there that is really wonderful that people can follow. So really nice flow. So thank you, Jane, for what you've delivered today. It's been really, really fantastic. You've got me reflecting on a lot of things. And a huge thank you to everybody who's engaged, whether you've shared what you've captured through here. I know there's a lot of personal questions here, so please don't feel like you have to share. But for those that have, thank you for having the courage and to bring and be part of this session with Jane today. It's been really wonderful. If you do have questions, we can stay around for about 5 minutes, Jane, if people do have any questions to bring in. I do want us just to go back and just revisit, we promised we would, Ashish Jane's question around, just going to put it back on the screen. So he's saying, how can I manage all at once, family, career, growth, freedom from responsibilities? Only keeping a positive mindset is not helping, though I give my best. We briefly answered this earlier on, and everything you've done, Jane, is fantastic. It's, that positive mindset is a start. And today, the world is a little bit crazy. A lot of people, thousands, millions of people probably feel so overwhelmed or in the same space of, I'm trying to juggle all these things. I'm trying to stay positive, but I cannot get through this right now. So I don't know if there's any steer that you'd like to give, Jane, anything you'd like to add, whether it's mindset related or stepping away from mindset. But I think it's important for us to share. And I know we've got a lot of coaches who are tuned in as well. So anybody else that wants to give Ashley and Jane a little steer, let's use the wisdom in the room for this question.
Thank you, Paul. And I love this question. It's something that I find a lot. Last year, I was working a lot with women who are balancing motherhood and career. And the word manage is something that came up a lot. And one question that I found to be quite effective will be, what does manage mean to you? Because once he identifies what manage, and I quote manage, means, then the answers will start presenting themselves. He'll be much more clearer for him to know. So this is what I mean by manage. And then now from there, he can be able to deduce action points on how he can be able to bring these different areas of his life together. So my first question to him will be, what does manage mean to you? I'm sure it means different to what I mean, to what I know, and to what Paul knows. But I would love to leave comment to see comments from other coaches tuned in.
No, I think that's a really brilliant start on the question there, Jane, to look at manage, because there's certain things that we pick up that we say, and again, it comes from societal norms in terms of things that we have to manage. When there's certain things we don't have to manage, there's certain things we can let go. So, for me, people say I have to manage stress. Do you want to manage stress, or do you want to relieve your stress? Because it's two
Mhm.
different things. Managing is accepting that I've got stress, I'm going to cope with it. Letting go of stress and releasing the stress is a different way of letting that go. So I really like that point on manage, because it means different for everybody. And sometimes we feel like we've got all these responsibilities, all these things that we have to manage, but just taking that step back and asking what is, and it goes back to the Eisenhower matrix. There's lots of tools, lots of different angles, and Ashish, it's going to
Mhm.
take some really time to sit down with a coach, somebody that can help and support you to really go into what's happening, what's causing these feelings, what is it that you're really struggling with from everything that you're balancing. But it comes back to, Patricia mentioned it in the first session, the Eisenhower matrix. She didn't mention Eisenhower matrix, but she talked about priorities as well, and clarity. And sometimes if we're feeling overwhelmed, even though we have a positive mindset, we might not have clarity on what we need right now, what's important to us right now in terms of our priorities. So there's lots of different tools we can use to explore. It's quite a broad question, but thank you for asking that, Ashish Jane. I really appreciate you bringing it into this space today.
Thank you, Paul. And just a disclaimer here is something else that I've noticed in the last 2, 3 years I've been doing coaching is that people use positivity or being positive as a tool for them not to take any action. So, as much as we want to be positive, as much as we have adopted a growth mindset, positivity is just piece of the puzzle. So you still have to take that bold step and show up and still ask yourself, what can I do about? So this is how I'm feeling. So what am I going to do about it? And that is where you start coming up with those action steps. So positivity is great, but most of us are taking advantage of positivity. So we are putting a lot on positivity's shoulder that it feels like, I'm done with you. So it's you to go back as the author of that story again.
Now, and you make a really great point there, Jim, because that positivity can become toxic. And what we need to get really clear, there's lots of talks on fixed and growth mindset. You shared at the beginning, Jane. But a growth mindset, there's a big difference between a positive mindset and a growth mindset. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to have all this positive, all this great empowering stuff to have a growth mindset. If you are going through, and everything's contextual, all at different stages, different experiences in our lives right now, and if we are going through something really deep, something that's really difficult for us right now, something that's outside of our control, telling people to have a positive mindset is not going to work. It's not about being positive. But
Mhm.
having a growth mindset to say, right, how do I take back this power, which is what you've illustrated today, this power, what is in my control, what can I write, what can I do? That's where it becomes empowering. It doesn't have to be, that positive aspect, which becomes positive toxicity. And Ed's made a good point as well, so I just want to bring what Ed, and this was mentioned in our last session as well. Donna mentioned this in our first discussion. Great question for me. It's about balance, taking small steps, actions, and to
And
protect your energy.
amazing. I love that head.
Yes. And I think that's a nice introduction to Ed Stanley, who's going to be delivering our next session on values. So Ed is going to be stepping forward in an hour. So we're going to have an hour's break, get yourself some lunch, some coffee, snacks, whatever you need. Reflect on this exercise that Jane has shared with us today. And then we're going to be stepping forward with Ed, who's going to be doing some work and some coaching sessions with us around our values and connecting everything we're learning now to our values and to take forward into our best year 2026. Jane, if there's any final words from you that you'd like to leave our audience before I thank everybody?
Go ye and write a powerful story that empowers you as the author of your story.
I love that. I love the old English in there. Go ye as well. Beautiful. Really wonderful. Thank you so much, Jane, for such a wonderful and fantastic session. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in and left their comments and been part of this. And if you are watching on the replay, you do have any questions, you can drop them in the comments box. As I mentioned in the first session, this is not limited. We are doing this in January 2026, but whether you find this in 2 weeks' time, whether you find this September, October this year, the work that Jane has provided you with here is valuable. think about the story you want to reauthor, the story you want to rewrite, and apply this through the workbook and the questions. Huge thank you, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you all in an hour's time with Ed Stanley, and we are going to explore value. Thank you.
Thank you.